The world
needs
more women
in tech.
Explore
your boldness.
Welcome to all of you women in tech. You have chosen a field where you're very often the only woman in the classroom, in the meeting room, in the boardroom, or in the lab. It sure takes boldness to pursue down your path. The fact is, women make up half of the world's population, and therefore half of its potential. So gender equality is just a basic human right, but it's also a fundamental base for a prosperous and peaceful society. So at the Volvo Group, we have a responsibility to shape a more inclusive workplace and society. And that is why we have created Take Her. We are live here together in Sweden, in Campex. It's one of the innovation hubs of the Volvo Group. We're going to be together for 90 minutes, meeting some truly inspiring women working for tech giants. They are role models at different stages of their career, coming from different countries, different tech fields. But what they have in common is that they embody boldness every single day.
And welcome everyone. We are so excited to have all this audience here today. You come from around the globe and you bring a very diverse set of backgrounds with you. And we want this event, this opportunity, to really build some momentum for women in technology. We know that we still have a way to go to get gender equality in the fields of STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And there's this real opportunity for us as women to embrace our boldness and really make a sustainable difference to technology in a more broader society. So Celine, what do we have on the agenda today?
A full packed agenda. So first, we're going to find out what it takes to be or to become bold. How women, you out there, can use your tech superpowers to shape an inclusive society. And we're going to take away concrete tips to boost our confidence and our network.
I love it.
So our speakers come from Schneider Electric. We have Ernst & Young. We have the Volvo Group, of course. We have Colgate-Palmolive. We have Walmart. We have Expansion. And we have Universal Music and the Sandvik Group.
What an amazing group of women we are bringing together. The backgrounds, it's just phenomenal. We are so excited. We are full of surprises today, and so make sure you stay right through to the end because it's going to be really interesting. We also want it to be interactive. So what we'd really like you to do is use the Mentee code, www.mentee, or through LinkedIn, to send in your questions, your comments, your reflections, and we'll actually look at those as we go through today. But first of all, Celine, what's boldness to you?
I think it's the answer to the question, what is it that I truly desire? What would I do, or say, actually, if I had superpowers? And sometimes it feels very scary, but when I take the leap, I feel very aligned.
Yeah, I love that.
And you, Kate?
Sheroes with superpowers.
What's your definition, Kate?
For me, it's all about being true to who you are, owning who you are, regardless of the environment that you find yourself in. And that actually makes me think about our first guest. So we should get into it. A reminder that please use the Mentee code to send in questions and comments or reflections. But we've joined, to start with a Shero, who's really being bold in technology. They come from Schneider Electric and have a real passion for decarbonisation. I'd love to welcome Dana Mashtakova.
At first, when I was offered with such an amazing opportunity to speak about boldness at Take Her, I was having doubts. Firstly, I am not a native English speaker. My mind goes crazy when I have to speak Kazakh with my family, Russian with my friends, English at work, and French with my colleagues. Secondly, I'm not a pro either in public speaking, like the ones we see in TED Talks. Actually, this is my first time in front of a big audience. Lastly, if you ask our new trustworthy friend called ChatGPT, "Dear ChatGPT, please give the definition of boldness," the answer was, "Boldness is the quality of being fearless and confident when facing challenges." Well, I did definitely feel a slight fear, or more, the sense of self-doubt. Does it mean that I'm not bold then? It made me realize that AI has never been in my shoes. It is not about being fearless. It is about feeling fear and bunch of other emotions that come along with it. It is about stepping out of my comfort zone. For me, my aim here is not to be inspirational, but to share the story of a nomad girl from Uralsk, a small city in the western part of Kazakhstan. As I see it, boldness is based on the 3 pillars, or the 3 C's. What if I told you that boldness starts with curiosity, the first C? As little kids, we get naturally curious about the world. We have passion for so many things. For me, it was ice skating on a normal winter day in Kazakhstan in 40 degrees below zero outside. As you can see, resilience is naturally ingrained in Kazakh kids. So, do I really need to continue with my speech then? One of my dreams since I was 15 was to study in the US. Unfortunately, my father wasn't an oil tycoon. Hence, I needed to pay my way when looking for opportunities to study abroad. The United States government funded a scholarship called Futures Leaders Exchange Program for young people like me. My success wasn't linear. I managed to fail in my first 3 applications. But failing these 3 times made me realize how to evolve, how to learn from what I did not get a chance to improve. As Steve Jobs once said, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. At the age of 17, I was finally accepted to the program. So here I am connecting the dots. I was off on my journey, not just a physical one. I needed to take up my flight 6,000 miles away, landing in a foreign country, a place called Grand Forks, North Dakota. Being Kazakh, at least the snow felt familiar. But also, it was an emotional journey. Having an inner hope and excited to live up that American dream. Julius Caesar's quote, "I came, I saw, I conquered," did not really work for me. Imagine the feeling when no one came to pick you up from the airport. It was such a disappointment. I still remember this feeling. I was standing in a bunch of snow, even though it felt like Kazakhstan, but waiting for my host family. I felt like an abandoned child. Was it the right decision of me to do? Again, I had doubts. How many doubts does one person need to have to feel confident enough? I encountered with many other difficulties. My first host family did not work out. I almost got expelled from the high school for bad grades, as I decided to take up university curricula classes. In the US, they're called advanced placement classes. But the curiosity and discipline got me through. I'm very grateful for my experience in the US. Besides resilient character, I gained 14 kilos. Yes, you did not overhear this. Big Mac and French fries, please, would definitely be a phrase that I remember. I wanted to tell you something important. I realized that curiosity is something very important that we need to cultivate, no matter what age we are. This comes to my second C, choice. Being bold is not about doing something extraordinary. It is about a choice that we make that right moment. In 2011, I participated in the national essay contest, writing on the topic, how to build a world without nuclear weapons. Sharing my thoughts on the tragedy that happened in Kazakhstan in the past, and sharing a plan towards a greener future. I was so much inspired by one bold individual who dared to dream big and overcame all odds to make the difference in the world. Let me share with you a bit of history. In 1940s, the primary Soviet Union nuclear test site was located in Semipalatinsk, the eastern part of Kazakhstan, where over 40 years, more than 450 nuclear tests were happening, exposing to nuclear radiation more than 500,000 Kazakh citizens. And I was inspired by the person, his name is Karibek Kuyukov. Despite the fact that he was born without arms, he taught himself to paint. And he held his brushes using his toes and lips to create paintings that illustrate his feelings about the nuclear threat. One person, significant impact. In 1991, Kazakhstan marks a mark in the history by taking a bold initiative in closing this polygon and makes it as a mission to advocate other countries to join this initiative. There is a term that comes from nuclear physics, chain reaction, when one reaction causes of an average of one or more subsequent reactions. So Karibek, he is the person who built a better world for Kazakh citizens, and me continuing it, not only sharing his story with you today and talking about this global challenge, but also deciding that day to embark myself on a mission towards decarbonization. As you can see, we all make choices in our lives. Either we settle for things as they are, or we strive to overcome those challenges and make ourselves better. Because anyways, if we want to see changes, it starts with ourselves. And we can make very small choices every day, right? Like getting out from bed early morning, going to the gym, or proposing a maybe crazy or stupid idea to your boss. So this is all about boldness. This leads to my last pillar, the last C, community. I am an only child in my family. And for me, it was always difficult to make friends, especially when I was new somewhere, when I traveled so many countries. I think that we all experienced loneliness in this journey. And as I mentioned to you, one of my dreams that I wrote in that essay at the age of 16, that I wanted to decarbonize the world. This is how I ended up in an inclusive community of like-minded people with whom we share common values: decarbonization, digital transformation, and innovation, the one we have at Schneider Electric. One of the common setbacks that women experience in the workplaces is that lack of role models. One of the reasons is male-dominated workplaces. Let me share with you my personal experience. In 2020, I firstly joined Schneider Electric as an intern in the microgrid domain, a male-dominated team of 6 people. And I was willing to have and to talk to more women, to have an inclusive community. And one of the core values that we share at Schneider Electric is embracing difference. And I'm very passionate about this, because we all have a role to play, different diversities. And I am amazed by this concept that we have about equality, that women and men have the same opportunities. And it is amazing to see that in 3 years, our team has gone through a transformation. Now we are more than 50 people across the globe, having an age-diverse group coming from many different cultures. Just yesterday, I was on a call with my colleagues, and there was a guy from Indonesia, me from Kazakhstan, my colleague from Spain, US, so many countries. And diversity is definitely my passion. Boldness looks different for everyone. For me, it looked like I was curious from the young age, making bold choices, even when I felt uncomfortable, and creating a thriving community. And here I am today. So how about we inspire each other? How about we become each other's role models? So find your role model and prepare to be one for the future generations. Unlike AI, you all have been in my shoes. I want to thank Volvo Group for such an amazing opportunity, creating a difference today that lasts generations. Thank you.
What an inspiration. I mean, firstly, just the life that you have lived already at an age, but also some really beautiful messaging about how we embrace who we are, that how we embrace and leverage who we are is how we can be bold in tech. And I think that's just a beautiful message for all of us. And working together, you know, as a collective, that's how we'll kind of really create momentum. We've got heaps of comments and questions, so let's quickly take one. There's a question here around, you know, you've talked about kind of learning and evolving your learning. Technology is, you know, rapidly evolving. So how do you think about that kind of learning mindset with the work that you do?
It is definitely about digitization. It is a game changer.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned that firstly, when I joined the team, maybe it was a small team, but today we undergone through different transformations. And I'm sure that big companies like Schneider Electric, Volvo Group, we welcome all diversities. And that's what I love about this environment, about STEM. This makes a difference.
You are so right. Seize that opportunity. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. And Celine, over to you.
You nailed it. Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you so much for this very inspiring journey. Now, we are actually thousands of women and men connected right now, as we speak, live, united around the world by the same passion for tech. In the next sequence, we've asked 3 Volvo Group employees, a recent recruit and 2 executive vice presidents, why they entered the field and what we have to gain by being bold. While watching this, I want to hear from you. Why is it that you chose tech? Let's watch.
When I was like 7 and my mom wasn't around, I tried plugging in a lamp and got electrocuted. It wasn't bad, but it was not pleasant either. And when I asked my sister or my mother about what happened, because it was just this very unpleasant sensation that just happened, and they weren't able to explain it anything other than, oh, it was electricity.
There are so many exciting things happening at the moment around us.
Yeah.
So you see the transformation is in full swing.
Yeah, and it's a transformation based on new technologies and a lot of new innovations.
Working as an engineer is super cool. What I work with here is a very small part of an electric truck. So to think about the fact that a truck is made up of so many parts, and so that means so many engineers with so many different backgrounds, so many different experiences. And then when you just see this beautiful truck out there that's just working like it's supposed to, it's a surreal experience. And when you realize that you were a part of it, something so small, but you were a part of it, it's the coolest feeling ever.
Here comes Tara, autonomous, electric, connected, and of course built from fossil-free steel.
I really think we were bold when we took the decision to build the Tara, but you need to be bold in the transformation.
You have to be bold, you have to be courageous, and it's all about embracing the fact that there are so many uncertainties. And with these uncertainties, you anyhow need to move forward.
I moved to Sweden from India when I was 21, and I am not sure if I would do it again by myself at 25. I don't know how I took that decision, because it was my first time outside India even, but at that moment it just felt so right, because I wanted to do a master program and be a part of this movement towards a greener world, because as I was growing up, that's all I was hearing, how it was important.
Why did you become an engineer?
It starts with that I like a challenge and I like to develop solutions. And this is what engineering is about. Being innovative, combining expertise with creativity. So it's my place.
For me, engineering is opening up so many possibilities. I know you started quality management and now you're in purchasing. I started in manufacturing and I'm in research and development now. And for me, Andrea, so much is happening right now. This must be the best of times to be an engineer.
Tech is something that's just ever-changing and continuously evolving. And if any woman out there, if you're just interested in this, and if you find it fascinating, just do it. I just don't want there to be any hindrance that's more like, oh, women, electrical or mechanical. No, it's just women are everywhere. We can do everything. So if you're just interested in it, go for it. Don't have any kind of thing that's just like pushing you behind. Just try it out.
I love the reason you got into tech, Girisha, right? Being electrocuted. And I love your reasons for choosing tech. I'm listening, we've read many comments. It's about the flexibility, work from wherever. It's about making people's life better. It's about understanding how things work, solving problems, and efficiency, progress. The list is very long. Thank you very much for your comments. Keep them coming. Now, we understand why you got into tech. What is it that will make you stay and thrive where you are? This is a question we are going to ask to our 4 amazing guests for the next 45 minutes. 25 minutes, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. May I introduce you, Garima Singh. You are heading architecture at the Sandvik Group.
That's right.
Very warm welcome to you, Sandra Budimir. You are raising investment funds to fund startups in the aerospace and defense industry, and your latest adventure is called Expansion.
Okay.
Annie Hudson, representing the Volvo Group. You're heading public charging partnerships. And we have Karine Aubry, who is the Chief People and CSR Officer at Universal Music France. And you're live with us from actually a real recording studio at Universal Music. Great to have you with us, ladies. Do you ever feel like a fake? Like you're about to be found out? Well, welcome to the club of people suffering from the imposter syndrome. Research tells us that between 75 to 90% of women are affected by the imposter syndrome. Garima, how do you address that?
I mean, this is very natural for us being human being, having a self-doubt. So this is nothing unnatural. And I get it even today, after being in industry for 18 years. But how I handle it is like, I have this reverse tactics. So I really always start with my asking inner self, that do I really want this opportunity? Can I do it? Or if yes, then I usually, get bold and go for it. But if I feel that, maybe I'm doubtful, then I go a level below as well. I actually check myself that, what is it that I'm lacking? Is it the hard skills, like tech skills? or is it the soft skills, or is it the network that I'm lacking, or is it just my self-doubt? If it is the skills that I was talking about, or the network, I mean, both of them can be built and learned. No one is born with the skills. Nobody has a network of itself. You need to find this as an opportunity to grow your network and grow your skills, and having a growth mindset. With that kind of mindset, once I have matured, then of course I check on my self-doubt, that I'm still doubting myself. Then I go bold and go for it. Because, okay, what can go wrong? If I fail, I have a bunch of learning, which I can only learn it from my real life experiences. But if I succeed, the next time I have even bigger wings to fly even higher.
I love your approach, applying reverse engineering on the imposter syndrome. Love it. Sandra, you are an entrepreneur. Research tells me that only 2.3% of women-led startups get funding. That's crazy. And yet you do it. So have you always been bold and confident?
Oh, no, I did not. And actually, I was suffering from this imposter syndrome for a long, long time. And I think that the positive thing in getting older is that you look into the mirror and you look back and you see all your achievements and you said, okay, I did that. So even if I was suffering from this imposter syndrome, I managed to get that far. And at some point you have to be honest to yourself and to say, okay, I did that. So I think that along the way I transformed this imposter syndrome into a positive quality, which is I question myself, yes, but this enabled me, this is not threatening me, this is helping me to move forward and to question myself in the right way, actually.
And you were telling me about the fact that getting used to introducing yourself, getting into that habit and practicing when you actually tell other people where you come from.
That helps a lot. When you meet people, you have to say, okay, hello, I'm Sandra. I did this and that, and now I'm doing this and that, and now I'm planning to do this and that. I said, okay, gosh, it's me.
Facts don't lie,
yeah.
Right? Karine, do you have any fears? Do you relate to that thing?
I relate so much, and thanks for having me. And I'm so inspired by everything that has been said earlier. Yeah, the word is scary. So I try not to be consumed by my fears, and just like Garima said, like be self-centered, understand what are the opportunities here, and if I can share my tips or tricks, I don't know, just like also what Dana and Kate shared, like working in the industry, it's a rapidly evolving sector, skills. So my biggest fear is not to be relevant anymore, that my skills turn out to be obsolete. Also, I'm now with Universal Music and friends. I've been lucky enough to explore diverse industries. So my key concern right now and focus is to educate myself and to be on a continuous learning journey. And that helps me a lot, building skills, feeling better. And also just like Garima said, like no one knows everything about everything. So it's also about being kinder to ourselves and just accepting that we are on a learning journey.
That's right. Sometimes we focus our energy a lot on what we lack and not so much on what makes us unique. I mean, for instance, Annie, what is your superpower?
Yeah, that's exactly how I like to think about it too. I suffer from imposter syndrome, just like all these really impressive women sitting here today. But I think if we're different, we might as well lean in and be different. So for me, I like to focus on what sets me apart, and that might not be traditional characteristics. I think of myself as very good at asking questions, and in a world where a lot of people like to assert their knowledge and talk a lot about what they know, that really helps me stand out, and it actually helps me build my network in a much more effective way. Another example I like to use is vocal fry, if folks are familiar with that, where oftentimes women try to make their voices lower to fit in with the male timbre. And so they end up having a bit of a fry in their voices. And I think it makes more sense to use your own voice, to let your flag fly, and to make sure that it's what makes you unique, what makes you a woman is out there.
So dare to ask the dummy questions that are really not dumb and raise your voice. The reality of women in tech is that you're very often alone. You get interrupted 7 times more than men. You have to work twice as hard, and maybe your opinion doesn't count just as much. It gets tough and lonely. Annie, how do you cope with that?
It does get tough and lonely, but there are tools that I use. One for me is finding my purpose. I have a very strong purpose, and that's not something that I woke up one day and thought of, this is my purpose, but rather something that I worked quite hard to find. Talking to friends and family, for example, thinking about what I'm good at, what drives me. And it's not something I could share today, especially because it's not a buzzword. It's something that has a very strong, developed foundation that drives me every day at work. So I'd say purpose is one thing. Another tool I use is working really hard to understand the world around me and how everybody acts. And one way I do that is through reading books, to be honest, fiction. I find you can learn a lot from characters, and that helps you interpret the world around you and why certain people might be acting in certain ways.
What's your favorite book?
I'd say probably Master and Margarita by Bulgakov, but that's a very cruel question to ask. And thirdly, I'd say that because a career it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So you really need things in place that can help you through it each step of the way. And I would say allyship is that for me, having an ally in the room. If we're talking about being bold, you want somebody that's there to support you when you do take on that task of being bold. And so I like to know that there's somebody in the back of the room somewhere when I speak up that is fully in support of what I'm saying, that is there for me.
So the power of allyship. Karine, you relate to a concept that you call your personal board. What's that?
Yeah, bouncing back on what Annie just said, like this is a concept that always brought to my attention. It's coming from Oprah Winfrey. What a great example of a bold and strong woman. So when I don't want to be the only one in the room, or if I'm trying to surround myself with other advisors, just like thinking of myself as my own company or brand, and having around me people that can train me, support me, and if they are not in the room, hopefully one of them can be in one of the situations. I can feel like they are on my shoulder or on my pocket, being there with their supportive energy. So that would also refer, I guess, to this third pillar, the community pillar that Dana shared. Surround yourself with an inspiring community that can help you.
But sometimes, Karine, the reality is that we're in a place where we're not quite valued for what we bring or quite recognized, right?
It happens. You know, things can change, so you need to trust your organization and people also to evolve with you and share feedback. But at some point, yes, if you think that you've done enough, maybe more than enough, stay true to yourself and to your own value, and maybe go somewhere where you will be valued and recognized for what you bring to the table.
You know, there's even a term for that. It's called the leaky pipeline. It's those young women who spend 4 to 5 years of their life studying tech, and then they enter the workplace, and it's too tough, so they actually shift profession. You, Garima, you've been around for 18 years, so you've decided to stick to it.
Absolutely.
What's your secret?
I have built my own personal resilience out of it. And how I have done it is like through 2 things. The first thing that I always think about, okay, why I have chosen to be an engineer to start with, and why I'm still want to continue with the tech. And then I get basically 2 answers. The first answer I get is like, my heart and soul, we together are extremely passionate about tech. That's why I have chosen tech, coming from a very non-techie family. Then the second reason is, of course, that, you know, what am I offering with my passion on the table? Being a woman, but also being a superb engineer. I have very good technical competence, drive, but also an out-of-box thinking. So why should I quit? Then the second thing that I often ask, okay, what else do I want to do with my purpose? As you explained, Annie, breaking stereotypes, exactly how amazing women have done it already. Iconic, amazing women. you know, all the women that I have at least now seen from last 18 years, there are so many over there who are wonderful developers, wonderful leaders. They have been leading tech industry with a lot of passion as well as conviction. I don't know why these stereotypes even exist now. So I want to join that club and break the stereotype or make them vanish. So that's the purpose I usually get an answer on, and that's made me stick to tech industry.
Sandra, I know that you love your work too. You evolve in a very male-dominated industry, aerospace and defense. How do you do it? Do you have a strategy?
Oh no! Again, it's about experience. I remember when I started 20 years ago in a corporation full of testosterone. The only way I had to move forward, the only way I found, actually, you do what you can. Yeah, it's not a strategy when you start as a young women in the industry. I had to hand in my resignation 4 times. When I wanted to change position, to have the right position in the right location at the right time, I had to resign. I didn't have time or energy to try to convince people that I deserve actually completely the next step. So I had to resign, and I managed to move forward within the company. And after the 4th time, I decided to spend this energy on my own projects. So I started to do my own projects with the people I chose to work with, to do things I wanted to do really for myself. But even if you stay in your company, what I did all the time is to building your own board or finding your own allies. It was to try to choose the people I was working with, even within the company, and not to be chosen.
And being like the self-leader of your own development.
Exactly.
So surround yourself with the right people. Garima, is networking a nice to have or a must have?
I would say it's really good to have, or it's actually very good thing to have. It acts like a support system. And there's a very famous saying, you know, if you want to go faster, go alone. But if you want to go longer, go together. And that's exactly what network does for you. So for me personally, network really adds on 2 main factors. So one is my own personal uplift. So I get, for example, a lot of inspiration by listening to both talented men and women in my network. But also I get a lot of strength and courage to go and try out new things and set up my bar even higher and higher. So that's one way. In professional life as well, it has helped me quite a lot because the last few jobs that I had, or the roles that I had, it was a change maker job where we are trying to change or shift the company, digitally, and sometimes even a mindset change. And for driving any change in a big company, you need a support network on every level of organization, right from top to the grassroots. And if you have invested in building nice network, it really helps. But at the same time, it also provides you, like being a change maker, a lot of emotional mentorship.
But to talk about myself, I find that networking is hard work, and it requires skills that are not necessarily compatible with, passion in tech, for instance. So, Annie, how do you do your networking thing?
Yeah, as Garima said, it's a really important part of your whole career. It's not just something you do for the first year and then set and forget. It's something that you have to maintain over time. But people hate the word networking. It's such an intimidating concept. And so I think it's a matter of figuring out a way that it is sustainable for you, a way to actually find joy in it, to be able to do it regularly and have fun. And so one thing that I do, I make it a bit of a game, and I reward myself when I do it. I love taking myself out for lunch, so I schedule my networking sessions over lunch, for example. So I can do that on a regular basis, and it makes it a lot more palatable to do and to sustain.
Sandra, we are not all social animals, so how do we do networking if we are an introvert?
Yeah, indeed, it's not that easy to enter a cocktail and to say hi to everybody, even people you don't know. But actually, you have different things you can do, and one very powerful thing is actually to identify and select potential trainings that you can do, and that will help you to meet people that are probably at the same stage as you are in your company, in your career, in your journey, and that you will continue to follow, and they will help you to build your own ecosystem, your own network. What you can also do, and we all used to forget about that, is to change jobs or position frequently, even within the company or outside. Don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone, as Dana mentioned earlier. And it's even more powerful if it's within the company, because so you extend your knowledge about the company. It gives you maybe even more ideas, and it gives you more allies when you ally people. When you need to promote your idea or a project, then you will have people, you will know who you can count on. So that's very, very important. And then, shy or not shy, what is very important is to have this attitude, positive attitude, to be open, to look at what's happening around you, and to be ready for all the opportunities that are coming to you. And they are coming to you, you have nothing to do most of the time, and especially for the best of them. I remember one of the best job opportunity I've had in my career. I got it in the elevator of the company I was working in. So I met by chance a guy who was just coming from Brazil to visit another department. We met 30 seconds or 60 seconds. 1 hour later, I had a job offer. 1 month later, I moved with my family to Brazil.
Because I think you offered just the right combination of technical skills. You were talking 2 different languages, and you were open.
Exactly.
Karine, you talked about your personal board. Who are those people, and how do you meet with them?
Some of them have been around for a very long time, and some are very recent connections. So I try to surround myself and work on, nurture my network and my relationships with the most diverse people. What we have in common, I think, is our values and probably the purpose. But I try to be also open to connections with people who are very different, so they can bring a different perspective to my journey. Just like Sandra said, being open, and it's surprisingly easy actually to connect. I spend a lot of time, as I said, nurturing those relationships, and also being loyal to people who help me from day one. I think for networking, I want to share these tips. It's not only about receiving, it's also about giving and giving back. So I'm at this stage in my career where I'm also mindful to be open to people who need this little support that hopefully I can bring. And you don't want to expect short-term results. That's not the point. So this is work. Network is work. I recommend to allocate some time to this, and you will be, again, rewarded for that.
So let's not feel guilty if we spend 2 or 3 hours for a networking lunch. One last piece of advice for the road. Garima.
As women in tech, our purpose and passion is much more bigger than the challenges we face. Let's stand together and make the movement happen.
Sandra, what do you say?
Don't take it as a fight. It's a game, so have fun. But don't forget that it's a game that you plan to win. So be demanding to yourself and your teammates.
Annie?
I would say we're not all born bold. We can work at it and we can practice it. So practice boldness every day, perhaps a little bit, and make sure you reward yourself when you do so. It's hard work.
And Karine?
I would say stay true to yourself, trust your inner light, and the universe will reward you.
Thank you so much, ladies. There would be so much more we can say, and thank you for your comments online. How about we practice the networking thing already now, and we continue this discussion on LinkedIn. Before we move to the next panel discussion with some really strong leaders who happen to be women, I think it's time for a bit of an energizer. Do we have Poland with us? I want to see if we have superpowers in Poland. It's quite superpower. We need to wait a moment. Way, we have Poland with us. Hey, very welcome. So we have teachers and students and professionals in tech. This is in Wrocław. How about we go over to Sweden, just our neighbors here, our very own Volvo Group University. Hey, do we have super women here? Yay! Thank you, Volvo Group University. Let's go up north, still in Sweden, over to Eskilstuna. Do we have superpowers in Eskilstuna? Yeah. Oh, no. How about we go to India now? I think we have Sherby, and this is a bunch of students. Hi, Sherby. Hello, everybody. And how about we go over to France now, to my hometown, Paris. Do we have superheroes in Paris? I want to hear you loud. Bold and loud. What? Thank you so much. And of course, we have other people around the globe. This is only just to give you a hint of some of our tech watch parties. Over to you, Kate.
Great to see so many people joining us from around the globe, as well as all of the rest of you. We have another story of boldness now to be shared by Cheyenne Stone, who works with automation and innovation in Walmart. So let's take a look.
Hi everyone, my name is Cheyenne Stone and I lead the transportation engineering team at Walmart. When I think about being bold in the tech industry, I think it starts earlier than my career and in college. Majoring in engineering, I was in a male-dominated environment for 4 years, which taught me early on the importance of learning to speak up even when my opinion wasn't the most popular. Sometimes being bold means finding new ways to frame your ideas to give others a new perspective and bring them along for the journey. One example that helped shape my confidence in the beginning of my career is when I was working on a project focused on maintenance solutions, and when it came time to present my findings, I was the youngest and only female in the room, surrounded by men with at least 10 years of industry experience compared to my 1 year. My findings through analyzing the data came to a conclusion that seemed to be significantly incorrect, but instead of taking defeat, I asked if we could set up more time so I could dive into each section of the data and make sure we were all aligned on the assumptions and the values. After multiple meetings, the group agreed that my findings were accurate based on the information that we had, and that we could take a slow approach to launching the solution. After a year, we saw substantial efficiency gains and dollars saved. In the moment of my presentation, I was terrified by everyone's reaction to my recommendation, but I knew I had to be bold and find a way to allow everyone to see the process so that we could all agree on the result, which ended up being successful. I think being bold means taking risks, but doing so in a way that is calculated and uses the information that you have, even if it's limited, to quickly make decisions, knowing that you might fail. Failure is not always a bad thing as long as you learn from it. For me, being bold doesn't come naturally. I've had to be vulnerable and acknowledge my weaknesses to better understand how to turn them into strengths. One of the main ways I found my voice is by accepting opportunities outside of my comfort zone and practicing or working through the challenges until it feels more natural. Another way that I've adapted over the years is through mentorships with people of all levels in their career. There's something to be learned from everyone, and you should identify the skill sets you want to improve upon and intentionally find people that can help you enhance them. Becoming a leader of people has helped me become more bold in this industry because it gave me a new sense of purpose for ensuring my team always had their ideas heard. It was no longer just about speaking up for myself, but more about being an ally to others who might not be comfortable speaking up. This creates another learning opportunity as well. While I do want to speak up for others, I also need to mentor them and motivate them to be bold themselves. There have been multiple occasions throughout my career that I have been the only woman in the meeting or I haven't felt confident to speak up for one reason or another. I have learned over the years to trust my knowledge of the industry and that it is okay to ask questions when I'm unsure. After being in this industry for 7 years, I am now leading a team focused on revolutionizing supply chain that will also impact more organizations than just Walmart. I think one of the main reasons I am in this position is because I've learned to not be afraid to go against the grain and seize opportunities. Being bold doesn't always mean being right. It means you take chances, recognize your flaws, and keep persevering even when it gets tough. When it comes to the technology industry, I think the only way to innovate is to embrace uncertainty and be bold.
A great story from Cheyenne. You know, another woman in technology who's taking her place because, you know, this is where we belong. And, you know, more broadly, society, we're seeing greater gender representation as we look at, you know, consumers, as we look in the workplace. There is one area, though, where there still exists a little bias in, and that's in research and development and the representation of women. And that can have a real impact then on how technology is built to be more inclusive. So we're going to deep dive now in a panel where we're going to think about this in a little bit more depth. Again, a great time for you to use Menti to send us your questions and your comments. Otherwise, I would love to welcome my panel.
Thank you. Thank you.
And an amazing table to be sitting at, I must say. Lisa, a co-founder of the Innovation and Design Hub Dobermann, one of Sweden's most innovative companies, and now leading innovation and experience for Ernst & Young. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Anna Rada, you head up safety with our sustainable solutions at Volvo Group with a particular focus around electromobility. So lovely to have you.
Thank you.
And Anne, you Chief Sustainability Officer of Colgate-Palmolive and really leading the strategy around sustainability and also social impact for the group.
Mm-hmm.
An amazing broad set of how we contribute, you know, to technology. And so I'd probably love to get straight into it and ask that, you know, maybe a bit obvious first question, but what does boldness mean to you? Maybe Lisa.
So for me, it is around connecting my intuition into action. But to do that, I think that sometimes we see boldness as being very strong or walk in, but maybe it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I think that I am the boldest when I am lowering and letting people know who I really am. And for example, I laugh super loud. So that is apparently not something that's sophisticated to do in executive teams. Well, I do it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to use kind of who I really am because I was invited. And I think that is boldness to me.
Yeah, I love that, being who you are. Yeah. Anurada.
Yeah, I think it is mostly said by the brave women so far, so right from the presentations and Lisa as well, from the other panel as well. So there are many instances that I had to step out of my comfort zone to take decisions and to do things. So decisions are not always made based on patterns or the existing facts. So sometimes we need to look within to follow our intuitions. So during initial years of my career, I was into software development, and I picked up by following the trend, I would say. And after I'm taking the parental break, and then get back to my career. So I already landed up in another country at the same period, so it's completely new. And I took it as an opportunity to reflect back what are my strengths and interests and what I really want to do. So surprisingly, that what I identified myself is that software development is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So I didn't really feel the satisfaction what I have done. So I would like to work in a bigger context and where the complexity in development of technology and products in larger organizations, especially we have an exposure and towards the more people dynamics. So that is something, a completely shift for me. So I put everything is on paper, and then I started exploring from there. So after a few years of efforts, and I evaluate myself today, and what I do today is in line with what I imagined for myself. So it really felt good that I reflected about myself, but easily said than done.
Yeah.
So it didn't come so easily for me. While developing the technical skills and personal skills into this new shift domain, I also focused in speaking up for myself, to express myself and to create visibility for myself. And I have been speaking up when I'm not being included or I'm not being given information to do my job. So instead of getting frustrated, I learned to practice to speak up about this one. So I really see that if I see any kind of a biases, so I really feel responsible to work on it, because that's how the change comes. So that is what I feel for. And as a whole thing, as I'm true to myself to evaluate what I want to do and why I want to do, so it gives me strength, actually, that when something good happen, it motivates me to do more. So that means that I'm doing right. So if something not favorable, so unfavorable situations arise for everyone, for all of us, so at that time, it gives me energy to keep up and take it as a challenge. It's not like a demotivating, take it as a challenge, because that's how it is, so we need to work on it. So that's how I keep up my energy positive. So by going through these ups and downs of the cycle, I feel more stronger day by day. So that's how I feel evolve, and that's how the boldness comes into that I want to improve myself day by day by handling these ups and downs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think we can all identify with some of that, can't we?
Yeah.
What about yourself, Anne?
Yeah, sure. So first I want to say how much of what everyone has said today, those wonderful women across all these different industries, has resonated with me, right? So to try to come at it from a little bit different angle, one of the things that's important for me, I think, that I interpret as boldness is being intentional. So in our careers, we're in charge of our own careers. Yeah. And I think it's very important that you have to be intentional about your career. And some have said as well to develop that purpose statement, which I think is really important to ground you in your intentions. And I was very fortunate relatively early in my career to have a sponsor that guided me and led me to say, okay, you're in this role now. Start thinking about what's the next role and what's your milestone role 5 years out. So very intentionally kind of guiding me through my career. So I've been at Colgate a long time. I've been there 33 years. I've had 18 roles across those 33 years in the supply chain. So I grew up in the supply chain, working different roles from manufacturing to customer service and logistics and quality. And now I'm in sustainability. And I would say that has by far been my steepest learning curve. And I was very intentional about how I want to shape this role for Colgate. I'm the first Chief Sustainability Officer of Colgate. And I kind of I said, we need one of those. So I went to senior management. So it's all about intentionality for me.
I love that. And there is sort of this red thread about listening to your intuition, you know, being who you are and really owning the space and stepping into it. So I think what I'm interested in sort of understanding from you now is as you look at your roles in technology and as you think about innovation and transformation in this space, how do you leverage who you are in order to do that? And I hope that's not too difficult a question. No. I don't know who wants to go first.
Yeah. I want to build, if I can build then off of what I just said. So I trained as an engineer. I got a master's in engineering, and that's kind of what took me into supply chain. And I think, you know, most people, and I'm sure there's a number in this room who are engineers, we like to solve problems, right? So it's a great foundation for helping you solve problems. But what I learned is I like to solve problems and I like people, okay? So, and then I also learned, so how do you kind of leverage what you're strong at? I like to combine or find the intersections of people, processes, and systems. So that is kind of bringing that all together. Early in my career, I had a choice to go a really technical engineering path or a supply chain management path. And I found that because I like people and solving problems, supply chain management was better for me. And so fast forward to today, here we are. I've been intentional about the steps along the way. And I think, you know, one of the things that's really important is to, and we've said this, people have said it today a number of times, keep that learning mentality, that growth mindset, because that's what keeps you motivated. That's what keeps you moving forward. And certainly moving from supply chain to sustainability was the steepest learning curve I had. So continue that learning journey is important as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And Arada, what about yourself? Where are you finding those opportunities?
Yeah, I can relate to what Anne said and also pick up the intentions coming from other discussions and panel as well, that I work with electromobility solutions today, that as we know that with the new technologies, there are new risks which we are not used to before. So there is a lot of unknowns and uncertain. So developing safety solutions, which I drive, is very challenging because safety is something we all need, something we want to try. So we need to create confidence in developing the products and also using the products. So it feels more responsible to work on that one. For that, what I do is I try to see the bigger picture and try to be a bit visionary. So it helps me to set the strategy and direction about it. So then we need skills. So skills are not with one group of people or one kind of people. Yeah. It's so much diverse skills are required to bring them together. So we extend our collaboration inside the organization and outside the organization as well to bring the joint forces together here. So for that, constant learning and exposing to the different kinds of information sources, so continuously searching for it, and promote this collaborative environment. So to do that, I drive cross-functional global networks. It's very beautiful to have a lot of people and multicultural people and different perspectives to bring them together. So when it comes to the people and start driving the things with something visionary, then we need to talk about inclusiveness. So that is something very important, that everybody should have access to the information and everybody should be open to bring up their ideas and they need to be heard. So I try to cultivate that environment where I create these networks and start driving this one. So that is very passionate for me to see the results and then get that satisfaction from each and everybody's face. That is giving me a lot of energy all the time. But having said that, today we are doing this technology shift, and there is a large, big organizations and everywhere that we are in coming from conventional side development of products. So we need to upskill and reskilling of the people. So it's a huge responsibility as well. Here we are talking about diverse people. So the people, those who are close to the retirement, and the young engineers coming right away from the universities. So we have a large scale magnitude to deal with it. So we need the right kind of competency strategies and like trainings or the tools and systems as well. It's a continuously innovative in thinking about it, what solutions are suitable and etc. So to conclude, what I feel is that it is all about leadership that cultivates collaborative environment and creating inclusiveness and innovative mindset. Yeah. So that is what it strives for, and then it gives confidence to move forward and try to develop the solutions. So that is being part of my journey so far.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to reinforce, which I didn't mention before, is that boldness is also about listening, and Aniruta mentioned this. It's not just about yourself and your own self-confidence and fearlessness. It's about listening to others and deriving power from that. Listening, humility and listening is a really important element of boldness, I think. Yeah. So it helps guide you.
Yeah, I love that, humility and listening. Yeah. Lisa, what about for yourself? How do you think about this?
So I think that what I nurture is my own frustration. I am super frustrated the way that we solve problems and how broken the world is. Yeah. And I think that we have overused one way of solving problems, the analytical way. And I'm sorry, if it worked, we would not sit here and talking about these things. Yeah. So I'm trying to add creativity to the table in the way that we solve problems. And I've chosen innovation, and innovation is broken in a lot of organizations. And I think that the key reason why it's broken is that we are going a little bit too fast into problem solving. So I think because all of us love problem solving, it's like we feel good when we come up with an idea. Wait a little bit with that one. So what I've tried to cultivate in myself, because I am also super impatient, is to try to stay and listen and go for the root cause of the problem that we want to solve, so that we are innovating in the right space. Yeah. So therefore, I've trusted, myself to be, going deeper, and then helping organizations to be here
Yeah.
And then you can be fast. So I'm all with you that it needs to be fast. It needs to be, action oriented, but on the right type of problems.
Yeah.
So I think that my drive is the frustration
Yep.
in me. And then the other thing that I'm trying to do is to be patient so that we go deeper, and then you go into action.
I love that, being bold in like the patience, because that's sometimes what really feels hard, particularly if we feel there's an expectation to do something and deliver. And what I sort of hear from the three of you is almost, your approaches to this almost mean you have a competitive advantage about how you work in this space, because it's slightly different to a lot of traditionally how we've done it. And so I think it's great for our audience to think about what's that competitive advantage they have, how do they face into this, because there is this opportunity to really do things differently. So maybe I could ask each of you, what's that one piece of pragmatic advice then that you could give to our audience? How can they work with innovation and transformation in technology?
Yeah, I can start on that. Technology offers plenty of opportunities for us.
Yeah.
So what impact you can bring? How can you bring your personality? So please identify that first, and then invest time to grow your skills. So don't give up. So then we will succeed.
Yeah.
That is the mantra which I follow.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I think saying yes. I think that very often women get a question and they go up to their brains and I'm not ready.
Yeah.
If you got the question, you're ready.
Yeah.
So please just say yes whenever the opportunity occurs.
Yeah, yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, and I think similar to Aniruddha that this idea of being intentional. So one practical piece of advice: every time I get into a new role, which very early in my career I kept thinking I was never qualified for, I soon learned I'm old enough to say, okay, I can do it now. My husband used to say, every time I got in a new role, he'd say, you always say you're not qualified and you're always fine. Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay. But is to pick one or two things you want to change, so you want to make an impact on, that you want to leave your mark. There's always tons of things you can work on, but pick the things that you think are important and that you can impact, and identify them and go after them and be very intentional.
Yeah, I love that. We've got some great questions coming in, and I think I want to pose this one to you, Lisa, because I know that you work a lot sort of in this field. And we've had a couple of people who have asked us about what kind of advice, if I want to work in tech, there are so many different areas, there are kind of so many different fields. What's your advice if you're someone starting out, your career now? What maybe are those areas where there's going to be real opportunity to expand? Are they maybe different to what we think is going on?
There is a lot of interesting things going on in sustainability.
Yeah.
And because the crisis is so big, if you put yourself there and make the use of the emerging technologies that exist, I think that you find tremendous success in that.
Yeah.
I also think that the way society is working is also a little bit broken. So, if you're more interested in kind of the behavioral change and how, technology can drive that, super interesting things that happens in public sector. And then, of course, there is a lot of interesting thing going on in energy, in some of the spaces where we just definitely just have to speed up the change.
Yeah.
So there's just so many interesting spaces to be.
So many opportunities for us to find our place. I love that. And Anne, a question for you, because sustainability is this kind of super hot topic. You work in this place, you set the strategy for your organisation. As you're thinking about what kind of advice and support you give to people who are maybe coming through that pathway in their career, what's your advice for, the mindset or how you work with that, to give yourself longevity?
So I get this question all the time from young and career people. They want to come work in my team, right? I don't have a very big team, and I have a small team, but I have dotted line to many people across the organization all over the world. So every function in our company, whether it's IT, HR, legal, finance. I mean, I could list them all. They all have a role to play. Everybody contributes to whether it's the systems we need to put in place or how we're going to finance everything. And legal's always making sure we're not greenwashing. So everybody has a role to play. So find your path, and if that's your passion, and you know, we've started pivoting away from the word sustainability and just say, in your job, figure out how to make the world a better place. And there's plenty to do.
Yeah.
And so any role you take, you can find a way to contribute.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And I think, you know, there's that piece there where both of you talked about how rapidly this is evolving and, you know, and really what is here tomorrow is maybe not even taught in schools at the moment. You know, there's kind of that dynamic pace, and I think all of us are in companies that are moving at that pace. So I guess a question from here that's come is, how have you kept yourself on that learning journey? Because what are sort of the strategies, or how do you think about learning in a way, you know, that maybe helps some of our audience understand how they need to be thinking about it?
I can start. So I went to a school where I learned how to learn. Or basically, I learned my own learning patterns.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate. We all have different ways of learning.
Yeah.
So I think that the first thing is by identifying the way that, you know, you learn on your own. I learn by experimenting.
Yeah.
So I always do something I never done before and try that out. And then I don't look at the things that happens as mistakes or failures, because I don't think anyone wants to fail or make any mistakes. So I don't like the world fail fast, learn fast. So how could I, what is the riskiest thing, or what is the most radical thing that I can test so that I can get the quickest learning from that? So that's what I've done. And it's my learning pattern. So it's not the same for everyone else. So, you know, don't copy anyone else's way. Try to find out, how do you learn from someone else? Do you learn by reading? Do you learn by watching? Do you learn by testing? And then you apply that.
Yeah, I love that. And Arada, any quick thoughts from you around your learning approach?
I think I'm totally aligned with what Lisa said, that when I started working with electromobility solutions, safety solutions, I just started on a blank paper. So for me, I need to learn from the start, everything. So it's not that information is coming from one source. So it's from everybody, from the people and from the internet or from the academics. And everywhere the information is coming up. So somewhere it triggers to put some kind of a plan on the paper. To put something as a start is very important. So from there we start evolving. So we go through different kind of strategies. Like sometimes we fail a little bit. So when before we go bigger, so we try to do little kind of a prototyping, and then try to do a kind of, so what are the risks? We try to analyze more analytical. Then we go with the more strategic and kind of a rolling out. So it is a incremental process, and it's a kind of a learning and doing it, So be bold to do it.
I love that.
Yes.
It's brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today, and please give a big round of applause to my panel.
As a woman, you must never doubt yourself. As a woman, be worthy. Believe in yourself. Believe in everything you do. When you start something, you must always finish it. Don't quit. Be brave. And always stay focused.
Well, that was a rather lovely message, wasn't it? That lady is actually from the Iron Women program. It's an initiative by Volvo Trucks where we get to train women to become truck drivers, and that gives them not only a job and financial independence, but sometimes it actually gives them a lot more, like safety and freedom. Kate, this event is coming to an end, almost. I would love to hear how it was for you. How about you describe your Techer experience with just one word, using the Menti code being displayed on the screen right now? And Kate, can I ask, what's your key takeaways from today?
My key takeaways, I think a couple of people said it, is, you know, this concept around it's my place. You know, as women in technology, we are not, taking someone else's place. We're not stepping into an area that is not ours. This is our place, and we need to step in and really own that. So I love that message coming out of our guests today. How about yourself?
Ooh, too many. I would say I love this idea of being a yes woman. Being open to opportunities, they will come to us. The idea of surrounding myself with allies and hanging on to my passion and my purpose, my personal why, perhaps. I would love to see what you're thinking and if our word cloud is growing.
Inspiring, that is great. Inspirational, bold, courage. I think there was so much courage in what I heard today. Never
Super
giving
inspiring.
up. Believe in yourself, community. Gosh, those are happening faster than I can read
and we have inspiration written in different languages. I love that.
Ah, that's beautiful. That represents all the people that are joining us around the globe today.
Girl power.
And I think that is just beautiful. And we're getting lots of thumbs up too, which is always a beautiful thing. And believing in yourself. I love that piece. Stepping in and really believing in yourself. That's a beautiful message.
Absolutely. This event is coming to an end. We were live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on volvogroup.com. So how about you just press share if you've enjoyed it, and we can actually grow the Tech Her community and expand or inspire as many women as possible around the globe, right?
We really want to build a community. It's in our collective diversity where there's real power for us to shape the world that we live in through technology. So absolutely, everyone join in. Together we are stronger.
And we'd like to send you off with a challenge. How about you take one extra step of boldness within the next 7 days? But actually do it, like you commit, and you share that on your social media with a hashtag #TechHer.
I love it.
You're going to do it, Kate?
Absolutely, I'll do it tomorrow.
Right, good. So we're looking forward to reading you online, and we hope to see you very soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye for now.
That's great. We did it. Super.
The world
Needs
more women
in tech.
explore your boldness.